Seasons. Over at Mojang HQ, big things are happening. Definitely. Like, they have to be. For sure, absolutely. Maybe. Sporadically, for the past month or so, we've been taking a look at some interesting little Easter eggs that have been found, both recently and a while ago, when it comes to something like Seasons potentially making its way into the vanilla game, and sometime soon. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it appears that there were even more hints. Today, for you, I've compiled every single season hint that I could find out there, including some brand new ones we'll be taking a look at, all down into one neat, concise video. If you can think of one that I forgot about, throw it down in the comments below. Tap that like button for me. And remember today, nothing here is technically confirmed. It's all just quite interesting, especially when put together. When trying to figure out where the best spot to begin today, it was pretty straightforward. Mickley mods. About a month or so ago, some of the most interesting lines of code ever to be found were found inside of the code for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. I believe this was found by Mickley Mods, or at least this was the first person that I saw talk about this. Here we have a look into the code. Seasons texture update to seasons. Renderer not initialized. Like, what, dude? What do you mean? Then after that, we have a dynamic texture, season foliage texture. And so that right there, we've got ourselves a complex, multi-worded term. Season, part one of that term, I mean, you know what it is. Texture, I mean, that's how everything looks inside of the game. Foliage, on the other hand, well, that's the interesting one. In the concept of Minecraft, foliage most likely applies to many of the plants inside of the game. We're talking things like leaves and maybe other things like grass and ferns. We are also likely talking about things that have gradients applied to them as well, maybe say grass blocks as well. The fact that there was a dynamic texture slot found inside of the code for seasons, like, what in the world does this mean? If you want to explain it away, maybe it's some kind of advanced functionality for deferred rendering, aka shaders coming soon, but no over-intellectualizing today. And one of the most evident and shockingly shocking things that point towards seasons making their way to the vanilla Minecraft game, a strange, interesting little Easter egg, if you want to call it that, was found inside of the game recently. Inside of a Minecraft 1.21.4, the creaking update, very rarely, when you approach a swamp hut, this smash song covered by Lana Del Rey in 2019 called Season of the Witch sometimes faintly plays in the background, and this will mainly happen as you begin to approach the entering door. Can you hear it there? Okay, enough of it. I'm back to business. Plants, they're a big deal, especially for seasons. Thanks to that little line of code that was found involving foliage, we have a decent idea as to how seasons might work inside of Minecraft. Perhaps, for one, changing the texture of the foliage across the biome. Well, one quick look at the Minecraft launcher, and pretty quickly you'll find out that there are two different versions of Minecraft, and even worse, the plants are so different on each version. Minecraft Preview 1.21.60.21. This is an official preview for Minecraft Bedrock Edition that dropped on 20th of November 2024. Now, inside of this preview, alongside many nice quality of life changes, for example, being able to actually pause the game or being able to breed mobs and get colorful children, well, inside of this preview, one of the largest focuses here were the plants. That's because inside of this preview, a gigantic number of the plants inside of the game were adjusted when it comes to their aesthetics and how they would actually appear in game. Some of these changes would even actually spill over to things like crops as well. The foliage. It all comes back to it. Think about this for a second. If a Mojang were going to implement seasons, and those seasons were going to adjust the foliage, well, initially, it would be beneficial at best, essential at most, to have all of the plants in parity. After all, if seasons are going to be implemented, that's probably going to be a pretty major update, and if that major update is significantly different on both versions of the game, well, nowadays, you know how it goes. It just can't be a major update. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Now from plants, let's go ahead and widen the scope here a little bit to biomes. Biomes, or in other words, the concept in which it all exists. It's pretty crazy that in 2024, almost 2025, there are so many biomes inside of Minecraft that are like so different on both versions of the game. One of the most glaring examples, almost unrecognizable if you're unfamiliar with it, is the flower forest biome. On Minecraft Java Edition, I mean, this is a relatively dense forest, not quite as dense as the forest biome, but like there's a lot of trees here. On the ground, sprinkled all over, flowers. Meanwhile, Minecraft Bedrock Edition, same seed, same exact spot, and oh my god, the flower forest biome, this is insane. Look at the amount of trees. It's been like halved and then halved and then halved one more time again. There are like no trees inside of this biome at all. If seasons are going to affect the biome, the foliage inside of it, well, maybe those should be in parity first, right? Right, in Minecraft Preview 1.21.60.23, a video of which absolutely popped off. Thank you all so much for the love on it. 15 minutes total, 16 of a biome changes. That preview with the surprise, essentially total overworld rework was one of the largest surprise updates of all time. Jumping into Minecraft after the 1.21.60 update, assuming it doesn't get merged with the next one, I mean, everything is going to look completely different. For example, the Plains biome, the new version of it on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. I mean, if you're a Bedrock main, this place is almost unrecognizable. There's so much more grass, way more flowers, and pumpkin patches that are actually like, well, you know a thing. With these changes in the book so far, it almost seems as if Minecraft 1.21.60 on Bedrock Edition is a whole setup update for something massive coming in the next update. And at least when you connect all the dots, that massive thing, it sure seems to be seasons. Let's move on. We're a great way of the way through the video today. If you've been enjoying it, I would appreciate it if you would tap the like button and subscribe. As subscribing, well, that'll help you out too. This image, this beautiful, sandy image, I'm still fixated on it. What in the heck in the world was going on in that top corner? Even though this picture is from like a year and a half ago, it lives rent-free inside of my head. It's so weird. Every time I look at this picture, I get deja vu. I can't tell you how many times we've done this by now, but back in the development of Minecraft 1.20 update, Nenbon, and this was in the summer after the release of the update, like August or something, and Nenbon tweeted out this image of what was meant to be a camel table. It was like a small little joke, but in the background, a big whoopsie, sand layers. What in the world? So look, I know technically weather isn't necessarily tied to the seasons, but at the same time, it kind of is. Like in real life, it doesn't typically snow in the middle of summer, right? What about a biome like, say, the desert that doesn't really seem to have weather events at all, though, and there's not really much here that could be affected by a season? Perhaps, and this is just a theory, but perhaps if Mojang wanted to involve some of the biomes that don't really have very many plants inside of them to be affected, well, what if maybe this seasonal update is also a weather update at the same time, and perhaps inside of a biome like, say, the desert, maybe there are sandstorms, or a sandy season. I know, the dev said this was just an internal test and nothing necessarily hinting at anything, but to me it always seemed like they were messing with the idea of sand layers, and maybe those sand layers come from a sandstorm event. We do know that Mojang works on updates pretty far in advance. Like, for example, by the time 1.20 released, they were probably already hard at work on Minecraft 1.21, and at least had a decent idea as to what 1.22 would maybe end up looking like. Updates take time. Maybe is this a hint at weather events coming to a seasonal update too? Recently, very recently, Minecraft 1.21.4, the Garden Awakens update. Inside of the Garden Awakens update, we got the Pale Garden, all of the features tied to it, resin. It's really cool. Additionally, inside of this update, of which the changelog is absolutely massive, well, inside of this update, we have one of the largest technical overhauls, reworks, and expansions of all time. There are so many different new technical capabilities or refreshed and upgraded ones that are possible inside of this update. Now, nestled nicely inside of these technical updates, of which there are many more I believe you could probably consider a hint, I'd like to take a look at things called tints. Wow, that was quite poetically put. Now, this tint stuff, it kind of goes pretty far and wide. Maybe some of it doesn't directly tie into seasons, but the idea of being able to overlay tints over many different blocks, that functionality being added to the game, well, that's interesting. If one were, say, maybe trying to modify the game and maybe make a custom model, and that custom model is a brand new plant, and you want that plant to change tints with the seasons, well, this is how this would be done. Oh, and speaking of tints, more functionality for grass tinting was added too. Currently, there are two variables that affect this grass tinting mechanic: temperature and downfall, but who's to say they couldn't add one more called seasons? Time is another big thing with some new customizability components inside of the game, inside of this update. This time stuff can apply to both local time, but also real world time as well. This is very interesting. Some of the code right here involving time, I mean, it's great for just the sake of customizability, but at the same time, would Mojang really just go through the hassle of adding a bunch of customizability features just like out of the warmness of their heart? Or is this maybe all more setup work, say perhaps laying the first and most difficult blocks down onto the ground for the eventual beautiful building that houses seasons? Alright, now next up, I want to make it very clear here that there is a huge asterisk with this next hint. Out of every hint that could be hinted, this one is maybe the least hint, but I did think it was interesting. Slice Slime. The Slice Slime's got this beautiful seasons data pack. Relatively recently, we checked it out in a video. The catch here is that data pack, for that video, I had to go all the way back to 1.19.3 because that was the last time that data pack was updated and supported. It was actually pretty out of date. Fast forward, and about a week or so after that video dropped, maybe 2, well, Slice Slime is back at it again. I didn't believe that this would actually be happening, but the Seasons data pack, it has been updated to the modern version of Minecraft 1.21.4. That takes it through the entire 1.20 update, 1.21, and right up to now. The Seasons data pack, we might end up checking it out in another video sometime soon, so stay tuned. But this new update upgraded the version to 1.21.4, added support for the new biomes, optimized the pack significantly, probably with all of the modern technicalities that can happen, and fixed some bugs. Look, at this one could mean nothing, because after all, this is Slice Slime's like a little baby, the small creations. This is Slime's creation that he worked on in his free time. This isn't necessarily a representation as to what Mojang might actually officially be doing. But with all of this talk of seasons, rumors, rumbles, and all of this stuff going on, it's interesting that the Seasons data pack would be revisited and get a brand new update for the first time in literally what, 2 years or something. Now that data pack as a whole, it gets into a lot more depth as to what this whole foliage tinting might end up looking like in the vanilla game, because after all, data packs, they're largely confined by the constraints of what is possible in the vanilla game. So if you're into the idea of seasons, and after this you'd like to see what they might look like, check out this video next. The very final thing that I'd like to talk about today is a relatively brand new one, and it comes from the Minecraft WhatsApp. So WhatsApp, if you didn't know, it's kind of like Discord, but it's like basically tied to your phone number, so it's also kind of like texting or whatever. I didn't have one for the longest time until like sometime last week when I finally decided, hey, you know, I kind of talk about Minecraft, and maybe I should like slide into the server and follow it. And boy, am I glad that I did. So inside of the Minecraft WhatsApp channel, which is actually pretty active with usually multiple new things every single day of the week. Well, inside of the Minecraft WhatsApp channel, there's this like little Q&A series, as far as I can tell, that they do on the regular. For this Q&A series, they answer questions from you and I alike somehow. The most recent Q&A that dropped late on Tuesday evening, December 10th, all the way down at the end of it, this little question right here from Benji Luna Skycat. Hey, been in Crafty Crew for a while, which by the way, that's the name of everybody in the WhatsApp server. I wondered if we could get any teasers in the next update. Emojis, 4 mysteriously cryptic strange emojis, a tulip, a blossom, a sun, and a calendar. 2 interpretations. I can think of 2 of them, different ways you could interpret this. Option number 1, we have a confirmation that the next update, well, it'll be dropping in the spring of next year. And to now, interestingly, if Mojang is going to stick to the hard cold facts of their new labeling system, of which I still don't know if I vibe with, well, what we just had is a drop. Minecraft say 1.21, that's called an update. So they are either telling us that sometime next spring, there will be a brand new update, presumably not a drop, which if you caught this video right here on the timeline of Minecraft 1.22, that might not be very much of a surprise to you. Option number 2, where my mind goes immediately with the context of all of these other things that are going on relating to seasons. Well, seasons. To me, what that all represents, the flowers, those emojis, they represent the spring season. The sun, maybe that's time. The calendar, well, maybe that's seasons. Either this is a confirmation that we've got an update or a drop coming sometime next spring, which is rolling up on us really quick, or we're getting seasons. So I don't know, guys. Maybe I've lost it. Maybe I'm so far gone into the land of hopes and dreams that maybe all of this is just clouded judgment. Or in a couple of months' time, you'll be able to say, you heard it here first. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Tap that like button, subscribe for more. If you've got another hint that I completely missed, please call it out down in the comments below. Video on the end card, tap it, check it out, and happy holidays. It's been me, Waddles, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.